What's up, guys? Who needs Meta here, coming at you with another retro deck profile. Today we're going to look at Edison Flameville Zombies. This is a deck I initially kind of like blew off because I didn't think it was that cool, but I wanted to play Flamevells really badly. For some reason I got an itch to play it, and I did not want to play Spies. I didn't want to play that engine. I didn't feel like setting Spy was conducive to what I wanted to do. I wanted to do other things, and I've always liked Zombies as a deck. I've loved playing the deck. It was one of the first decks I ever built. So we'll get it right into the list. It's an explosive deck that's kind of high rolly-ish, but can also kind of control the board, and it rewards you for good decision making. So the Flameville cards of 3 copies of Fire Dog, and we're fetching the 3 copies of Magician. It just makes sense to play the full 6 cards here. I just like Magician and its ability. Like, it's not a bad normal summon when you're able to do things with the zombie engine of the deck, especially with Goblin Zombie, make lots of 8s. Zombies make 6s and 8s, and this deck makes 8s really easily, so both engines kind of are conducive for this, a similar extra deck, and you're not like retrofitting cards and things like that or having to worry about space. But that's it for the Flameville engine. The zombie engine, of course, 2 Goblin Zombie. This is your main, searcher card. Being able to do stuff with this, search itself, being able to float, just making good plays with your searches and using your searches is probably the key section of the deck. Zuki, Zombie Master, Spirit Reaper, and of course the Plague Spreader as our tuner. Again, a really concise 6-card engine. I didn't want to add anything else. I don't feel like the deck needs a copy of Pyramid Turtle. It wouldn't be the worst thing ever if you wanted to play Pyramid Turtle. I'm waffling on there's one flex spot I have in the deck that you'll see what it is later, but I'll let you know what those are when I get there. But there is one flex spot, and it could be Pyramid Turtle. So we're at 39 cards that I like and one that I'm a little iffy on. We have a small Lighthorn package with 3 Raikos and Lila. I do play Call of the Haunted, so I really like Lila with Call to be able to use that effect and then just summon a Magician and use it as a tuner. I feel like or use it for a Synchro Summon. That's just a really good play, and I really enjoy that play. I feel like it's really good. When I was playing the deck initially, I was like, man, I really wish that I had... I wish I had Call the Haunted in this deck, so I added it with Lila and stuff like that. It was originally Super Nimble Mega Hamster, and I felt that this card was better. It gives you an option with Charge. I do play Charge, and it gives you something other than just Raiko to go get. Obviously, Milling is somewhat good in this deck because you have a bunch of good monster targets. For ancillary monsters, 2 Caius, Gores. And then the card that I'm iffy on is Dark-Armed Dragon. Again, when you're not playing the Spy Descendant package, you don't have as many darks. You still have enough to support it. It just becomes another sacky card in the deck that can kind of be sacky because you have a bunch of blowout cards and a decent amount of bricks. Magician, again, in the zombie version, isn't as much of a brick. But Dark-Armed Dragon, I was considering a few different cards in its spot. Those being Book of Life and Pyramid Turtle. Again, the Hamster that I was playing earlier, Hamster's level 4, Pyramid Turtle's level 4. If you want to be able to make 8s and maintain that synergy. But that's kind of the setup I have for the deck here, or for the monster lineup. There are 20 monsters. You would not be wrong to cut Dark-Armed Dragon. With cutting Descendants cutting Descendant in the Spies, you have to also cut Allure. So that does, again, lower your dark count for that. But it is an option. The obvious 3 copies of Rekindling. Here's your blowout here. This is your win con. You can win without resolving this card. I have done it before. Fire Dog is a house at 19. It does unfortunately have that clause of and send to the graveyard, so you won't be able to like ram it into a 1900 monster and be able to trigger it like you would be with other cards, like later on, like something like Jarek Waiba or something like that. Another Rekindling deck. 1 Charge of the Light Brigade. Again, we have our 3 Raikos and our Lila, but we also have the ability to mill cards for Rekindling or mill zombie cards for Mizuki, Plague, being able to mill Goblin Zombie and then revive it with things, milling Call the Haunted targets. It's fairly solid, and again, half your deck isn't monsters, so you will mill stuff, but outside of Rekindling, there's nothing you're like, man, I need this card to like win the game or whatever, and like I said, you can win games without Rekindling. Brain Control, Mind Control, again, you're playing tuners, you can just steal the game with these cards. They are really good cards and really good ways to play the game. Brain is obviously one of the sackiest cards in the format outside of Dust Shoot. It's your sacky one of. But Mind Con It's great with a lot of decks playing Raikos and Hamsters. So if you turn one Mind Control a Hamster, even, you're like still in a good spot. So if you have like a Magician or something in your hand, or the Plague in your hand, and you're like, I'm gonna make a Synchro play, and you Mind Control a set monster, you know that you have like the levels to like do things. And if it's a Raikou, you can actually gain value off of that. And if it's a Hamster, you still have a target in your deck for that. So that's why another reason Mind Control is actually pretty good, even if you're not using it for a Synchro play, which obviously would be neg value, but go for it. Desperate times call for desperate measures. 3 copies of Book of Moon. This is to make sure that our Fire Dog can do what our Fire Dog needs to do in order to get over things. It's also just a generally good card. A lot of times you want to like put pressure on with like a Mizuki or a Goblin Zombie, and they'll deprison, and you can like book your guy and save it and things like that. Or they'll try and bottomless again. You can book and save it. Classic play. So book, you can be used defensively. You can stop brain control with it, and then heavy. And MST, of course, staples here, back row removal. I don't feel the need to play True Nade. Again, it's another card you can consider, but the deck can like grind out relatively easily. If you want to play a little bit slower pace, you don't have to like go all in. Obviously, True Nade is great for rekindling plays, but again, with cards like Lila and Raikou, you can simplify the game state a little bit more before you go for that rekindling push. It reminds me a little bit of like if anybody's played like in Dino Rabbit format or whatever, where you're just like slowly whittling your opponent away with like vanillas and making them burn their resources until they don't have that answer, and then you hit them with the rabbit, or then you hit them with the big tour guide play. That's kind of what the deck a little bit reminds me of. For trap cards, the aforementioned Call of the Haunted. Again, works well with Lila, works well with Goblin Zombie. Works really well because it's chainable. It's a chainable card that you can grab that Goblin Zombie, and if they like get blind MST it or like prime pop it, you can go ahead and get that search off. So that's kind of helpful. Like a lot of times, like the Call a Haunted target card trooper play back in the day, it's similar to that, where you just get something or call target saying, and you have the Goblin Zombie for that. Trap Dust Shoot, again, the other Saki card in the format. Decided out going second, or if it's bad, but they're card's just too good to not play. 2 bottomless for some summon removal, as well as Torrential. These are kind of staples. I'm going through, I believe it's 11 trap cards, 9 spells, 20 monsters. So we're just going to be playing the mostly staple traps. Again, Mirror Force, and then we also play 2 copies of Dimensional Prison for removal. These you do have to side out, or you can side 1. I typically side 1, but I should be siding 2 when you see one of the cool cards in the side deck. And then, of course, the last trap card being Solemn Judgment, the ultimate win button, set it, and then play your Rekindling next turn. Make sure it resolves. Once it resolves all your guys, they try and TT you or whatever, then you can just do your thing and make your Stardust, and then all the other back row are kind of irrelevant or whatever, unless it's like Compulse, which does suck. On to the extra deck. Armory Arm for Plague and Raikou. Again, you can Mind Control a set Raikou, flip it. You want to be able to have a 4. I took Chimera Tech out and moved it to the sideboard because, again, you just want to be able to make a 4. Very rarely does Plague Raikou come up, but, you know, it happens. Catastor, Android, and then 6s because your deck can make these pretty easily. Goyo, Brio. I do play Gaianite. You can play 1 Gaianite. I like it as an option to like run over 2,500 guys like Stardust or like Machina Fortress if you don't want to like expend that Goyo Guardian. This is like a great thing you can just like throw out there and just let it die. And then of course the Revived King, because we're playing, you know, the zombie package, so we have the Revived King. We just play the 1 Black Rose just because we have access to it with the Cyber Dragons on the side. For 8s, 2 copies of Stardust Dragon. Again, this is an 8 deck, so we're going to be playing all of the 8s, and then the important ones in multiple. So we have 2 Stardust, 2 Colossal Fighters, and the other one of with Thought Ruler, Red Dragon, and then you can make Dark End. So we do play the Dark End because we can make it because we have Caius in the deck and Caius Plague and things like that. So we can't do it with the level 4 like the Spies and the Descendant because they are your dark non-tuners or whatever. But you can still make it, and it's worth including. People typically aren't going to be leaving Cyber Dragons up for Chimera Tech just out of fear of it anyways. But we do side deck Chimera Tech because we do side 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. So we are going to side Chimera Tech for the Cyber Dragons. 2 copies of DD Crow. Again, fairly staple. I opted to include 2 copies of Fossil Dino. I just like this card. it just kind of like beats Dragon Turbo. It's good against Frog and stuff like that, so I like Fossil Dyna in the deck. I don't side any spells. Side deck 2 Dust Tornadoes. This is, again, for like Blackwing or anything else that plays Oppression. This card's really good against Oppression. 2 copies of Pulling the Rug for your Monarch stuff. 2 Light Mirrors. You typically side out one of your Raikos and charge with this against certain matchups, but they'll have to like hit this and things like that. So it's removal. Not really say removal, but like they have to use removal on it, and then you can use your thing. That goes for with this card as well. 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall. So this is my like favorite side deck card. Like if your deck can support it, like dragons can't summon red MD. There's like a bunch of stuff that people can't do. Like you can't value under it, things like that. There's just so much stuff, and then they can't crow you. Like I don't know if anyone caught the live stream we did the other day, but Cadigan tried to crow my Rekindling, and I chained Iron Wall. And if Iron Wall is up, if you activate Rekindling, the monsters don't get removed, so you don't have to do something with them. You could just like have Iron Wall up, and then they don't have to like go in here or whatever. So that's kind of nice. But you can't get Caius, you can't get deprisoned, things like that. So like Iron Wall is insanely good. You do have to like take into consideration what you're siding out for it. Like you'd have to side out Deprisons, Caius. You can't Mizuki under it as well, but you can get Infinite Plague where your Plague Spreader doesn't get removed under Iron Wall. So that's why I like it. So I feel like Iron Wall is a really cool side deck card. I think it's better, like it's best in Gadgets. That's my favorite deck to put it in because, like, again, with all of those things with Fortress are true with Rekindling as well. So that's why I really like Imperial Iron Wall. But I think the card is kind of slept on, but I don't think a lot of stuff can side into it. But, like, siding into Vayu is kind of difficult, especially when you can't side Shadowmere because you have so many darks with that zombie engine, and then like a ton of your, synchro monsters are dark as well. So, like, Dark and Thought Ruler, Colossal, you lose those effects under Shadowmere. So I don't want to like obviously do that and hurt myself and kneecap my deck. So I think Iron Wall is the way to go. And again, if you're siding it against something like Vayu, they have to like do something to do anything around it, and then your Deprisons or your Caiuses or your Mizuki is live again, whatever you choose to leave in, based on what's going on there. So that's kind of how I feel about the card. I really like it. It can be double-edged in terms of your trap card lineup, but I think the card is good enough to be included. That's all. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. Any suggestions, be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content, and thanks for watching, guys.